Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our board meeting. And if at this time, if Mr. Josh, if we have roll call, please.
Mr. Ballard?
Here.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Sturgill?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. This time, if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Since it is Mr. Sturgill's birthday today, if you would please lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I believe it is happy 67. This time, I would like a motion to suspend the order.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. This time, for the record, we are withdrawing item 9.03 from the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
And before we start, I discussed with my colleagues, and we thought it would be appropriate for a brief opening statement. First of all, we thank you as our community members for being here and supporting our district. We're going through what we have been in some challenging, tumultuous dynamic, almost a tsunami. But we are clear and we are committed to making sure that our district comes out better than when it went in. And no one here, nor anyone on the commission, has any other initiative or agenda except that the students in the Lorain City School District and our community have a strong school district that best represents the dynamic diversity and the opportunity for our kids. I mean, this is what we signed up for, and maybe this particular piece isn't what we anticipated, but we will travail through this. As you all know, we are having some challenges in terms of in the midst of this superintendent search. And so what we're going to do this evening is we're going to make some changes in terms of part of our structure and governance, in terms of our leadership. And we will have some comments as to exactly why we're doing that. This is not as a result that we are having any internal challenges. We are strategic and intentional, and we want to make sure that we use every opportunity to best represent the district. And so we're going to make some changes that reflect that, I believe. At this point, we are not in a war with the commission. So anyone who thinks that that's what's going on, that is not true. We are not at odds or at war with the CEO. House Bill 70 is very clear in what it provides for the district. Our challenge is with the process, not with the individuals. As we have stated, we believe the individuals that are on the commission represent great integrity. They are caring members of our community, and we are in a partnership with them. We are on the same team. We have different responsibilities, but we are on the same team. We believe, and at times I'm going to say we, at times I will say I. When I say we, I speak for our collective body. When I say I, it is my opinion of things. On the we side of this, and we've dialogued, we believe that our search process has been hijacked in some regards. We believe that, and what we would like is to see our commission take back control of the search process. We believe that the search firm, and we are not stating their intentionality, but we believe this represents that they have more control over our search process than our commission. Our commission was empowered by House Bill 70 to do what was in the best interest of our district. They are doing a search for our CEO, not their CEO, not the firm's CEO, but our CEO. And we believe in the integrity of those individuals who were placed on that commission. They know the interests of our community, and we expect that they would take control of this search process so that our CEO comes into this district untainted, undamaged, because right now there's a cloud. And based on some of the things that are being exposed about the process, that person coming in is coming in behind the 8 ball. And we want our CEO to be fully intact with the integrity and the support and not coming in under a cloud of division. So, and I think the gentleman here, we are charged to make sure and to defend the district and defend the commission, defend anyone who would compromise that process. So our battle is not with the commission. We're going to empower the commission. We're going to support the commission in saying, take our search back. And that is the spirit of our aggression, And so, and we're not feeling like we're stepping on anyone's toes. The community has elected us, and we have a responsibility to that process. And House Bill 70 does not negate that. So that is, and gentlemen, if you have any comments regarding that, if I'm off base, please jump in. And again, if Tim Williams gets in the way of the process, then we will address Tim Williams. It's not about the individual. This is what we believe is in the best integrity of our district and our students. And so that's kind of where we are. So if you all think that we're fighting people, we're not fighting people, but we're fighting process. And we believe that process is compromised. Any comments from my colleagues?
I think I've said enough.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to execute some portions of our agenda. We will then go into executive session. We will not be there long. We have some things to discuss with our legal counsel, and then we will come back out and expedite the remaining balance of the agenda. Thank you. And there, if anyone needs an agenda, just raise your hand and it will be distributed to you. We're now going to, basically what your agenda is going to highlight is a change in terms of some of our leadership responsibilities. As you all know, the board chair and the vice chair, these are positions that serve the board. The chair or the president of the board is not the president of the district, is not the chairman of the district, it's the chairman of the board. And its duty is to serve the needs of the board. The board members elect the chair, and the chair serves at the pleasure of the board. We believe at this time we are going to make a change in our chairmanship. I will be resigning as the chairman of the board. And again, this is not because of a negative thing. We are reinforming our strategy. We're sending a message that we are strategic, we are intentional, and we believe that tactically we have to do some things, and we have spoken to the state, to ODE about this. They're aware of it. We're not pulling any punches, but we believe that moving forward, we have a very diverse, talented group of board members. We have different skills, different abilities, and we complement each other. And so it's kind of like I've been in the pitching rotation, and we're going to bring in the relief pitcher. We're going to rotate. I'm going to move to right field or someplace. So, and we believe this is in the best interest going forward. Myself, I will step down. This is what's happening procedurally. Mr. Demakia will become the chairman of the board. Mark Ballard will become the vice chair. So this next series of motions and actions are going to represent that transition. So at this time, I would like a motion to consider the resignation of seats for the president and the vice president of the board.
So moved. Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. At this time, I make a motion to nominate Tony Demakia as president of the board.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Abstain. I'm voting for myself.
Come on, man, vote for yourself.
I'm voting for myself. Point of order.
Excuse me, board members, at your pleasure, I did not take nominations for that. Do you wish that we redo that with nominations, or are we satisfied with what we've just done?
I'm satisfied. Satisfied.
Good. Just the other ball.
Technically, okay. Close the motions. We can still do it all the same way. So yeah. Declaration of presidency, which will come from you over to him, and then yes, we can do it.
So we will declare at this stage that Tony Demakia is now the seating president, chairman of the Lorain City School Board of Education, and we will now administer the oath of office.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Don't repeat after me. Just say it again. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Board President of the Board of Education of the Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now and in effect hereafter, to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
Do.
Do that one, that's fine.
Tony? You want to take over now?
Take,
We-
would you?
the executive session.
I guess. We'll now accept nominations for Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Mark Ballard as Vice President.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Abstain.
I need a motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations?
Support.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Abstain.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes. No, we need to do a, oh, no.
I already took the vote. You can just do
You
the,
need to do oath.
you can just do the declare him vice president, and then yes, we do the oath.
Okay. Then I declare Mr. Mark Ballard, Vice President of the Board of Education. Now we'll do the oath of office.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Board Vice President of the Board of Education of the Lorain City School District, Lorain County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now I need a motion to consider approval of changing the board's appointment to the Academic Distress Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. House Bill 70 provides that the chairman of the board appoints one of the positions as an academic distress commissioner. And it states clearly that that commissioner serves at the pleasure of the appointing person. And so initially we have appointed Dorinda Hall. And I want to talk a little bit about Mrs. Hall. She's an exceptional educator. She is a woman of exceptional integrity. She has served this district in significant capacity in a manner of excellence that reflects, I believe, the best of what we like to see in educators and people. And she has served the commission with that same integrity. When we entered into this phase of the commission, Ms. Hall represented some of those characteristics that teaching and learning and process and education policy were places that we thought she would represent on this commission exceptionally well. She would bring to that commission a critical understanding of the classroom and I believe the type of policy and curriculum and those things that are necessary for the improvement of this district, as did many of the other folks that I interviewed. But she demonstrated this at a level that we thought was very fitting for the commission. However, the nature of the commission was not necessarily an atmosphere of policy, but somewhat of an atmosphere of politics. And there's a different set of skills needed to navigate through that. In some regards, I feel very responsible that we placed Ms. Hall in a situation of politics that we did not equip her to handle. And subsequently, some of the actions and the motion that was going on in that room and in that process did not necessarily highlight her skill set. It wasn't that she lacked skill, it's that the nature of that room was very different, obviously, than what we anticipated. I take responsibility for that as the appointing entity. She did not misrepresent, she did not underrepresent. It was simply a situation that her dynamic skill set was not necessarily adequate for. And I think to the reflection of that entire commission and what we believe in terms of the firm they were dealing with, there's been a lot of maneuvering that I don't know if some of the most seasoned board-skilled folks would be able to navigate. It was very difficult. She has served us well, and it should not reflect the reappointment that I am disappointed in her. You can be replaced because you're disappointed, or you can be replaced because we need a different skill set to navigate the dynamics of that room. Anyone who takes criticism for this, if there's a person to be criticized, it would be me. I'm okay with that because our intentions were good. We deliberated, we discussed, we interviewed, and because our process had integrity, we believe that the same process that yielded our alternate, whose actual skill sets we believe will be better suited to that dynamic room, we're very confident in. So for the record, we are very pleased and grateful for the service that Ms. Hall has provided, and under a lot of scrutiny, under enormous pressure. And we hope that, I guess the other piece is she is a team player. We're all here, and she's a Titan. We're all Team Titan, and we're making some changes in our lineup. That's all. So she will remain a dynamic asset to this district as a teacher, as an administrator, as a person who is an exceptional leader. And so, again, we commend her and we thank her for her service. We apologize for what I know from experience is a lot of pressure and stress that she and her entire family has had to endure. So again, thank you to Mrs. Hall. She is not retired. She is simply going into another position. And at any given time, many of us may be called on to serve. I think what Ms. Hall did is represented, when called to serve, she stepped up and served. And we applaud her for that, and we thank her for that. So if you don't mind sharing. And at this time, the new chair, again, by the authorization of House Bill 70, is responsible to appoint a commissioner. And so Mr. Demakia will move forward with that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to appoint an exceptional educator for our school district. He's been very dedicated, and I'm excited to say that he will be representing us on a commission, and that is Mr. Steve Cawthon. He is obviously a teacher in the district, and according to House Bill 70, he will be representing the district as our appointment to the Academic Distress Commission. He is here, so Steve, if you stand up so people can see who you are. Again, we thank you for your service, and we're excited to work with you. Thank you. At this time, report and recommendations of the superintendent. We don't need a vote. It's an appointment. No vote.
Okay, so we didn't need any motions.
Report and recommendations of the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Demakia. I'd like the board to consider for approval 9.01 to 9.04, and a reminder that 9.03 was pulled. And I feel obligated to comment on that because it is Durenda Hall. And for all the comments that Tim made, she was applied for and interviewed for an administrative position. She was offered that position, and quite frankly, she was debating on whether or not to accept it. And so we had a rescind on here, and I'm pulling it off because she is not rescinding, as I understand.
Well, let me make correction. In my interaction with Durenda Hall, part of this was around this commission, and what happens is in that position, arguably she may not be eligible to serve on the commission also because of its administrative capacity. Ms. Hall was so committed to serving that she was willing to forego that. We thought that there were ways that we may be able to draft that position so that it would still be under teacher piece, but since she is no longer in the commission, we want her to have ample opportunity to consider whether she would like to take that position as she interviewed for, worked hard to get, and we really believe that she would be exceptional service in that capacity, but we understand that it takes a little time to debrief yourself on these things, and so she has the opportunity to consider that position and discuss with her family and then so choose. So that's why the motion is taken from the table.
Thank you, Mr. Rums. So again, I'd like for the board to consider for approval 9.01 to 9.02 and 9.04.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to go in executive session for item C, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action, and E, matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or rules or state statutes.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
We shall return shortly. Okay, we are back in regular session. Need to take a vote to come out of executive session. Roll call.
We need a second motion and a second.
I motion we come out of executive
I
session.
support it.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Based on conversations with our legal counsel in executive session, I would need a motion to remove item 11.01 from the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Glad it wasn't me. Hearing in the public. No takers.
She didn't hear you.
Nope.
She's trying to turn her phone off.
Rhoda, you're not speaking this evening? First hearing in the public, you're not speaking? I'll be disappointed.
I love you too. I will speak. Perhaps at the moment I'm a little perplexed about what has transpired. I agree with you all really looking at the process of what has happened and what has transpired. And we hired you guys to oversee the policies, procedures, and education of our children. And I'm glad to see that you've decided to step up and really step up to the plate and do what's best for us and our district. And I have the faith in you all that you will do that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Alba Armstrong. I also would like to commend the board for their action this evening in order to look at the process that has taken place and to make sure that they are following the established regulations with reference to that as far as the commission is concerned. I would like to ask a question, and that question is, once you go through the process of looking into this situation, what do you foresee will occur after that?
I'm going to inquire about the process of the CEO selection. Again, that process right now is in the hands of the commission. And obviously, all of us up here and many of the folks out in our community are very dissatisfied and disappointed in the process in which they initially took. It is a goal, and I think to echo Mr. Williams' comments earlier, it is a goal of the Board of Education to try to encourage the Academic Distress Commission to suspend their process that they had started and to go back and find a better process that is going to be a little more legitimate. Now, as far as their process goes, I mean, the goal is to find a CEO, somebody that is a great fit for our district, that understands our students, that understands our community. But again, unfortunately, because of House Bill 70, we don't have the authority to choose what that profile is. That solely rests on the Academic Distress Commission. So I hope that in these past days, as it's been a very, very long week, that the commission is listening to the community, is listening to some of the things that are going on, and they kind of change their opinion of what maybe the profile might be for our district. That's all we can hope. Again, we don't have a whole lot of control in the situation, but what we can do is, as Mr. Williams said earlier, and I've made some pretty strong comments myself, we will fight for the students of this school district. We'll fight for our community. We'll do our jobs. We are elected officials to do a job, and we're still here doing that. So obviously, we're just not going to lay down and allow the commission to, or the state of Ohio to select somebody that we don't feel is fit, especially if we don't believe in the process that got that individual to our district. And again, I speak for myself when I make these comments, not for the Board of Education. I'm sure my colleagues have their opinion as well, but I think that I can say confidently that we're all on the same page with the process that they've taken to get to this point.
Yes, we intend to walk on a resolution at the end of our meeting in which we will recommend that we will make a recommendation to the commission to suspend the present search process, to try to retrieve the information. They had 30-some applicants that could be valuable in terms of the next search process. Retrieve that information that is that body of work that belongs to them that they paid for, and then re-engage in the search process. They may need to ask ODE for an extension. I think this is such an important decision that perhaps the 60 days wasn't enough, and that caused some rushing. We would be better off to get an extension than just pursue recklessly into this and allow for some integrity to be reinstated in the process.
I agree. I agree, and I wish you all the luck, and that things will be done in a proper fashion so that our district and our students are well represented. And I thank you for your dedication in this process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brink, may I ask one more question?
Certainly.
At this time.
Good evening. Well, I don't have to give my name and address. I'm not a council, city council. So my name is Martha Pye, and I'm a resident here in this city for over 70 years. I value Lorain City and all the children in this city. I feel that I have a responsibility to see to them and encourage them to get a good education. My grandchildren and great-grandchildren, nothing would please me more for me to live and see them graduate, in which I have seen my grandchildren graduate from college with their masters, some of the grandchildren, some of them still in high school, great-grandchildren. So my great-grandchildren, they coming along. So I wish the best for our school system. And I feel that as a community person, that I have a responsibility to do whatever I can to encourage to our children and to the community, and be about what you supposed to be done, educating. And I get filled up, but the children is my heart. And when I see the paper, read the paper, that things doesn't look too good or read too good about what's happening in our school system, I want to cry. But I just say a prayer, because we're going to get over this. And our kids is going to get a good education. For all of them, for all the kids. And we have to encourage them and make each kid feel that they are important, they are somebody, they are people, and we want them to have that respect. And first of all, the parents. We have to be more strict, and help me to say the word. I want to discipline myself to say the right word. First is with the parents, that the parents, this is your responsibility. When you send your child to school, his education start at home. And if he's not behaving at home, you should know about it and work with the teacher to help move this child forward. Because we all want our children to be somebody and be good citizens and help run our state, our United States, our city, our country, to represent your family, your city, your country, because we are American and we want to work together to see our children get a good education. So, you're in my prayers, and I'm going to continue to pray. And glad to see that the school board is doing a good job. And we know this was no easy thing to get over the hump. But you will. Because I look at the school board members, I can say they're all my children. Because they all are younger than I. So there's another school board member. So, but anyway, I just want to say, I'm praying that we will move forward, and I think you will, and I have a feeling and the vision that it will be. Lorain will grow, and we're going to work together as a community to make it happen. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming into tonight's meeting, I had one concern, and that concern was that the process to date to select a new CEO was a process that did not have the voice of the community of Lorain. And I want to applaud the Lorain School Board for recognizing that and addressing that and coming up with a resolution to present it to the Lorain Academic Distress Commission to have them reconsider the process and start all over. I want to applaud you for that, because that's what's vital. This is a very vital decision for our community, and there needs to be public input in that decision process and not have that done by a consultant that's from outside the community. Consultants sometimes just don't get it right, and they didn't get it right here. And I want to thank you for taking the initiative to make those changes. And I hope and pray that the Academic Distress Commissions hears and heeds and takes action on the wisdom that you are providing to them tonight in the direction that you would like to see them go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Keith Willett. I got two quick questions. I don't mean to make them embarrassing or hard to answer, but number one is, I guess it seems like the intent here was to change your member to the Distress Commission. And I apologize because I'm not sure going forward how this has worked and who's the ruling body, and I didn't keep up on all this stuff. But it's simply, I think, you could have changed the member or your appointment to the Distress Commission without changing the presidency. So that question was one. There must be more to it than that. And I don't know if you're willing to share that. Right? And number two, isn't an appointment to the Distress Commission, and I don't know this gentleman, and I hear good things about him, so don't take this personally, but isn't an appointment to the Distress Commission by a employee of the schools somewhat of a conflict if they're going to make decisions that might affect the employees of the schools? However you guys want to answer that.
I believe House Bill 70 provides that our appointment must be a classroom teacher. So that answers that one. As far as, I think Mr. Williams touched base on the strategy of the Board of Education and the direction of the Board of Education. Obviously, at this point in time, we are extremely disappointed in the process. And as a Board of Education, we feel that maybe we have to take a little more of an aggressive approach with the Commission in the state of Ohio. It is our intent, as I said earlier, and let me be clear that from the start of this whole process, and it didn't just start with this commission that is currently with us. This is the second commission that we've had in this district. Since the start of this whole academic distress, Lorain City Schools and the Board of Education has done everything in its power to be collaborative, to be a good partner with the state of Ohio, with the former commission, and even with this current commission. We believe that we gave them all access to any information that they needed and wanted in this district. Believe me, Dr. Graham and his people spent more time drafting up documents and getting documents that they're requiring so they can see what's going on in our district. Everything they wanted, they got. And we have always had the intent to work with the state of Ohio and any commission that's here. And I think we've been a pretty good partner, and I think we're very proud of our efforts in doing that. Currently, we are obviously, as I said before, and again, my opinion, at this point in time, we don't have a very good partnership with the state of Ohio and the current Academic Distress Commission. Communication is key to any partnership, and we haven't had a whole lot of that. Hopefully, this process, or in light of the things that have happened over the past week or so, maybe that partnership changes. But again, we will do whatever we need to as a Board of Education to fight for the students and staff and the community to make sure that the right things are done for our students. Obviously, they could have slipped this by all of us and appointed somebody and moved on. And, it took us months as a Board of Education to come up with a superintendent and a treasurer for this district. Months. As we vetted folks, as we met with the community, as we had meetings, we interviewed each of them 3 different times. And I might add that the commission at the time also interviewed for the superintendent. So we brought them in for that process. We didn't have to do that, but we did. But it took us months. And again, where we're at now, and we're just very dissatisfied that you do interviews on Tuesday, Wednesday, and you want to appoint somebody on Friday or Monday. I'm not sure we put enough time into this. So, not sure if I answered your question, but again, as Mr. Williams said, and let me just say that Mr. Tim Williams has done a fantastic job with his leadership of this Board of Education. I respect Tim. Tim he's a friend. He's been amazing on this board, and he's done some great things. It has absolutely nothing to do with Tim. I mean, he is a fantastic leader, and I applaud everything that he's done, and I've enjoyed my time on this board with him. I mean, I just want to be clear. So, reading into it, don't read too deep into it. As a Board of Education, we just, we need to send a message to the state of Ohio that we're going to change some things, we're going to look at some things differently, and we're going to come in with a different strategy, and hopefully they understand that we will cooperate and be a good partner if that's what they want to be, but we're just not going to let things go because they say they want it to go that way. We're going to fight for this district, and I don't want to say too much. No. Chief. I did say too much.
My name's Sal Rivera. I just want to make an editorial comment, and then I'd like to ask you a question. Lorain's a different type of community. As you walked in here, if you looked around, everybody came in here and they were hugging everybody. And it crosses every racial, ethnic, gender line. This community loves each other and loves their kids, and I don't see that. I go to a lot of meetings in a lot of places, and I don't see that. So let me just say that this is a really unique community. And you know what? When this school district was considered a great school district in the minds of many, and we had, Pulitzer Prize winners and Nobel laureates, and we had generals, and we had CEOs, and really successful people, there were local teachers and local administrators, and they did okay. The social economic have changed. The city is suffering economically, socially, and there's a lot of things that are not going to be under the control of the school district or any CEO that they bring in for a year or two. They need to do what, there's an Ohio Supreme Court decision that says that the funding of schools, public schools, is unconstitutional, and they've never done anything about that. They need resources, and given those resources and adequate people, I'm sure this school district will be as great as any other school district. I just want to make that comment. And what, I got to tell you, I was at the meeting the other day, and it really made me sad. I really left here deflated, because what I saw the last year or two in this community is a resurgence of Lorain pride. You know, with this new school all these new school buildings and this new Lorain High School, our kids doing really well athletically again. You know, good superintendent, good board of education, and you guys were being so positive about this. You know, hey, don't think bad about this. We're going to work with the state. We're going to make it better. You know, I was just real enthused, and I saw a lot of enthusiasm within the community. And I'm really worried that that's all going to be, you know, has been kind of, what I saw the other day was really, I don't know how else to say it. It was a dog and pony show with very little input from the community. It was intended and designed to have very little input from the community. And that makes me sad because there's nobody who's going to be able to come in here and succeed in a year or 2 years and you know, come in here and think that they're going to succeed without the help of the community and the involvement of the community. And if you take away the voice of our elected officials, if you take away the voice of the community, then the truth is we're just going to be dictated to. It's a hostile takeover is what it is. You know, and to me it seems, and I'm just telling you as somebody who's been around for a long time, it just seems like it's designed to fail, and whoever comes in here isn't going to succeed, especially with the community being angry about this process. And he's going to fail, and then they're going to try to make a move towards charter schools. And I think we need to resist that at all. You know, and this is a proud community. We have good children. We have a good, you know, good people in the city. And I guess the question I have is there anything that the public can do? I mean, you know, think about this Lorain, and I haven't even attended a meeting, but this Lorain Alumni Association, within a short time they had 1,000 members. You know, that says a lot about where this community was at. They were really mobilized and motivated that we're moving in the right direction. This is going to be good. And all of a sudden it's, you know, the way it happens, it sounds like it's just designed to make us fail. And I don't think we should put up with it. And so I guess the question I have is, what can the community do to affect so that this Academic Distress Commission hears us in saying that we're unhappy and we're not going to tolerate this? Is there anything we can do?
Keep supporting and keep speaking out. I mean, we got to keep fighting together, as you said. I mean, you know, I was born and raised here, you know, grew up here. I've known you for my whole life, and, you know, we have to stay unified, and we have to just keep supporting each other and fight together and make sure that we do the right things for our kids.
Yeah, because we just can't let our kids be used as a test lab for some kind of political design, you know, and so I'm committed as anybody else is to join the fight, and because what they're doing is wrong, so.
Thank you.
I promise to be polite, Mark. I don't know, you know, I spoke to Tony and to Tim and Mark a little bit. And just as the chief said, you know, we went along with it was going to be an easy transfer from one board to the next, and it was going to go smooth. Then we came on Monday, and the chief was deflated. I was pissed off because it's real easy. You look at the bios that they had, and one is promoting that he's the superintendent of the 7th biggest charter school in the damn country. Then you have another one that says he's the superintendent of a school of 300 students, and a graduation, it's only 21 freaking percent out of 300 students, not 300 seniors. So that's, what is that, 75, 76 students if we just go by average, to 15 students in a senior graduation class of graduating? That's embarrassing to us and to our children. I was against sending my daughter to preschool last year. She was only 3.5 years old. I'm happy that she went, but as a parent, I'm a little frustrated because now she thinks she's 15 years old. But she's so outgoing, she's smart, and I support it 100%. And so I ask you guys to fight like hell to not let this happen. Because four of those, if not 5, do not fit anything, and Dr. Graham knows, Mitch knows, and the school board knows, when Dr. Graham was up for superintendent, it wasn't that I didn't like Dr. Graham, that I just felt like that we needed someone that had a connection with our community. And one thing that every single one of those candidates said on Monday was they want to connect with our community. But that's something that Dr. Graham is already doing. They didn't give any avenues to what they're going to do to continue to build our community. So I'm asking you to fight like hell, and as an elected official, if you give me some damn phone numbers, I'll give it to my constituents, and I'll have them call who they have to call because there's a difference between raising taxes and putting our children 2 and 3 years behind. We can always lower our taxes. They can be pissed at me for trash cans, they can be pissed at me for license plates, but I refuse to be blamed for my children being held back 2 and 3 years because the state wants to make some money off our city. Thank you.
I don't really know how to follow either one of them. It's the chief's fault I'm up here because he's the one that got me upset. But I really don't know how to follow you. Did you? Okay, cool. So I have my Dave shirt on, Dave Matthews, the best of what's around. And we are the best of what's around. We truly are. As Titans, as Lorain, we're the best of what's around. I was so offended every single time I had to hear on Monday night that, well, the kids just aren't going to relate to certain teachers, and the kids just aren't going to relate to certain teachers. How do you know? You've never been in my room. You've never once been in my classroom. And maybe that's because this is a brand new academic distress commission, but even members from the other academic distress commission have never been in my classroom. Bernie's never been in my classroom. And then I thought, oh, it's the great big secret. Everyone keep people out of Megan's room. That's the big story. Keep them out of Megan's room. How do you know if I relate to the kids or not? I'm from here, born and raised. I see the kids walking down my street all the time on the west side. I wave to them when I'm going to school and they're waiting for the bus. I have kids living right across the street from me, so they go to my school. How do you know that I don't relate to them? I resent that kind of stuff, that you're telling me that I don't relate to the kids and they don't relate to me. What are you basing that on? That offends me. You don't know how I grew up. The only thing that I told you about was where I went to school. So you're prejudging me. You don't know that I fight like hell for my kids, who are the children from this city that I grew up in. You don't ask me that kind of stuff, and you've never been in my room. I tried to explain to you that poverty has a serious, serious deficit effect on the growth of the brain, and you knocked it down. I said, I'll provide the article for you on the most recent data and research on that, and you shot it down. I said, if these kids aren't here mentally, they're not able to be taught that day and educated that day because they're worried about the trauma at home. They're worried about the trauma that they've experienced at home or on the streets, or that their parents have experienced, or something else. They're not here. They're physically here, but they're not here. And I got shot down again. I'm done with, we've got the dictator dictating us about what he doesn't know about education and academics. And that's the person who's in charge of the commission. And the other people were just sitting there like they were afraid to speak. You're telling the practitioners, the ones who are in the field, doing the battle work with the children, that they know nothing. That's not okay. Are there some teachers who don't relate to the children? Sure. But are there some commissioners on the academic distress who maybe no longer relate to them? Yeah, that's possible too.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Cawthon. Just wanted to kind of say that it is an honor and a privilege to serve in the capacity that I'm going to serve in. I've been in Lorain City Schools since 1991, so I have seen a gamut of different things, and it's kind of hard to believe that 1991 is now 2017. One thing I think that I bring to the table, and being a classroom teacher, my perspective here is I'm going to do what's best for the city of Lorain. My daughter was a graduate of Lorain City Schools. She started in kindergarten, graduated in 2013. She now lives in Columbus, works for Merrill Lynch, and she has done exceptionally well going through Lorain City Schools, and I'm very proud of that. And she's always defended Lorain City Schools wherever she goes, because a lot of people are like, oh, Lorain. And here is an example, and some of her friends, some of my friends that have graduates from our school district have done exceptionally well. And I think oftentimes we get overshadowed with the negativity and the lack of, well, this doesn't happen and that doesn't happen. As a classroom teacher, there's a lot of good things that happen in here. The people up here, the people that work in this district, from the cleaners to the cooks to the secretaries, they do an exceptional job, and oftentimes that gets overlooked. And one of the things that I can tell you, working with the commission, I have no ulterior motives. There's nothing about what I'm doing where it's like, in 5 years, Steve Cawthon's going to be in Columbus working for the ODE. 5 years from now, you'll see me down on the second floor in hopefully Titan College teaching my CCP classes to Lorain kids who have great opportunities in Lorain to take classes here in this building, which doesn't happen everywhere, okay? Because my other daughter goes to a different district where I live, and someday I joke I'm going to write a book and compare the differences. And there's, you know, some good things and some bad things in comparison, but a lot of it has to do with the community. We need to get the community to kind of come into this as well. And hopefully, me working with the commission, we're going to make the right choice. That's going to be my goal. And I've said, people that have asked me about this leading up, there will be not, at least on my watch, I never want to be a part of anything that relates with Lorain City Schools becoming a charter school district. That will not happen with me being on this commission. I have told the people that I've talked to, even on the commission, that is kind of one of the things that we have to make sure it doesn't happen. So if there are ulterior motives from other people about that happening, and I looked at the resumes, I wasn't involved in the interviews, but I looked at some of the resumes, as many of you did, and those were red flags that went up to me. I know you brought that up as well. So again, I'm going to work for you guys and try to make sure that this is a good process, because we need to move forward, and hopefully that's something we can do, because Lorain is a good place to be. And if it wasn't, my daughter wouldn't have graduated from here, because I could have pulled her out at any time and sent her somewhere else, but I chose to keep her here. And it looks like she's done okay for herself. And she's a Lorain City Schools graduate. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Perfect. Thank you all for your comments. To that point, again, state standards are state standards, but anybody that walks through our halls and sees our teachers and sees the programs we offer and sees our kids knows that we're not a failing school district. We haven't reached your standards. We need to do a better job. There's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody in this room disagrees with that. But we got great kids. We got great programs. We got great leadership. We got great food. Our buildings are unbelievably clean. You know, so this is a great school district. We're not a failing school district. We haven't reached your standards, and we may never reach those standards. But we do have to get better. I think we all agree with that. But you know, we graduate great kids every year. I'm so proud of this school district. I know you guys are. So with that point, any other comments?
Just through the chair, to Angel Arroyo and to Mr. Rivera, this is a political process. This all starts at the governor's front door. He's driving this agenda. So we have to either get him to see the error of his ways. I mean, we're stuck. We've got this commission that we've got to deal with. But until he either changes or his seat changes is what we can do. The legislators have to do it. The governor has to do it. And I'll be so happy when he is a year and a half older. Amen.
Anybody else?
We're tactical. We're tactical.
That's for sure. Not our first rodeo. We know what we're doing. Our next board meeting is August 7th, 6:30, right here in the Lorain High School Media Center.
I do have one motion to walk on, so if we can have a, that's okay.
May I ask one question? The Distress Commission meeting, will they be meeting, say, within the next month or so, or Do you know anything in terms of them making their so-called announcement? And if so, how would you be meeting, the board be meeting in conjunction with them?
I'm sorry, did you ask when the commission's next meeting is?
Yes.
I think it's Monday at 5:30, is that right? I see nods, so yes, Monday at 5:30. 5? Monday at 5.
Now, would that be a time that you all think, or they perhaps might make their so-called vote decision?
I don't know.
You don't know. Will you all be meeting in conjunction with them, or will it just be them meeting?
That's a no.
It'll be just the meeting.
Hmm?
It's their meeting. We've not been invited to that meeting.
Then, well, I hope that we in the community and those who are involved, that we as community will be at that meeting.
We hope so too. We hope
So
so
we need to
too.
be at that meeting on Monday, when the commission meets. Because when you were saying, and I so agree with Self, we've got to come together as taxpayers and the citizens of this community to stand up and say, and bring about some change of what we're going to do. So, you know, perhaps you all taught me the Constitution wrong, but tell me that they're, you know, not adhering to it.
And if I could add to that, will that, you're saying that it's open to the public, but will the public also be able to respond and share concerns or
Again, that's a commission meeting, and unfortunately, we don't set their agenda. We love hearing you guys speak at our meetings. I don't know if they echo that same opinion.
So it could be that we fill this place, you know, with
Overfill.
or
Oh,
sure.
And hopefully we will be able to do that. But we cannot voice our concerns.
The one meeting, I know they did have remarks from the public, so I think they put that on their agenda, I believe.
Elba, you know as well as I do, Lorainites will always find a way to voice their opinion, no matter what arena we're in.
So in their past meetings, they opened up hearings from the public at the very beginning of their meeting, so be on time and, take your time.
So we need to walk on, this is gonna be item,
Push down the agenda, so it'll be 13.
That's Tuesday night, they're announcing.
13. Can we,
It's gotta be, mature, it's gotta be 100%. Yes. And tell me, this is an outcome of our executive session.
yeah. Okay.
My question then is, all of us who are in the room are committed to being here and also, as Angel said, getting on the phone or whatever, and calling the rest of our community people and help them out? It's gonna send me back 40 years.
What's this?
My wife said she's enjoying my birthday.
So item,
13.01.
so I need a motion to walk on item 13.01. The motion would be to recommend to the commission to suspend the search process, retain the search information, terminate the firm, and continue a new search process.
So moved.
I'll support that. We will repeat that. Would you repeat it?
In a minute. Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Of course.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
The motion, for those of you that did not hear, that we walked on, item 13.01. Motion to recommend to the commission to suspend the search process, retain the search information, terminate the firm, and continue a new search process.
Yay.
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS.